This is what a Counter-Strike loadout looks like in 2026, but 13 years ago, none of it existed. Welcome back to Deep Dive, and in this episode we're going to take a look at the evolution of the Counter-Strike loadout, from its genesis to its current state in the present day, year 2026. And it all starts in the year 2013. The PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One are slated to launch. Bitcoin finally crosses the $1,000 threshold for the very first time. It sounds cool and all, but who really trusts digital assets more than real-world, tangible assets, right? Well, keep that in mind. Because while a lot of people were dismissing Bitcoin as a fad, people were unaware of the massive, global digital economy that Counter-Strike would bring to video games. Valve deployed a patch in 2013 that would implement the digital asset economy into a shoot-'em-up FPS video game. But not just any yearly FPS title, Counter-Strike, the FPS that created every other FPS, the blueprint. But this happened in August, and the year doesn't start in August, obviously. It all started 4 months earlier with the DLC CSGO released called Operation Payback. Operation Payback, like the name suggests, was a way in which to pay back the workshop map creators by implementing them officially into the game and official matchmaking pools. Though it came out before the infamous Arms Deal update, so there were no cosmetics to go with it. Just a few maps and a way to say thanks to the workshop creators that helped make CSGO, CSGO. And Payback must have been a success. For just a few months later, Valve found another way to reward community makers by implementing the skin. Valve initially jokes, saying it's like black market weapons trafficking, but without the part where you get knifed in a warehouse. But as we know in the present day, we know that not to be entirely true. Because little did they know, they were about to have a multi-billion-dollar industry on their hands. The Arms Deal update. Everything arrives at once. Over 100 different weapons to use and play with in-game. There were time drops on official and community servers, effects like TF2's unusual system in which you can count your kills with stat track technology, 10 themed skin collections tied to the maps, and the CSGO Weapon Case 1 and Esports 2013 case, in which you can open a case with a key that costs $2.50 and receive a random item from within it. And the best part is that they're worth real money, and thus the chase for skins and the race to the most expensive inventory begins. Valve encourages workshop creators to create skins of their own to have a chance to be featured in a future case or collection. This obviously draws massive attention to the game, and the game finally picks up, as CSGO had been rather unfavorable in the years since its release. Just over a month later, Valve releases their second operation, Operation Bravo. It functions similar to Operation Payback, although you now have the added bonus of the skins. They add the Operation Bravo case with the iconic AK Fire Serpent, and they introduce the Alpha Collection, a collection that you can earn only if you have a Bravo Pass by playing in official or non-official community map servers. Valve continues to hammer the head on the skin market, releasing skins at a pace we've never seen before and never seen since. The CSGO Weapon Case 2 releases in November 2013. Less than a month later, souvenir packages come out with brand new collections to accompany them. Dust 2, Italy, Lake, Mirage, Safe House, and Train. These had the unique ability to have stickers on them, but they were not applicable by the player. Instead, they were auto-applied with a random rotation and random scrape level. To finish off the year, the Winter Offensive case is released with iconic weapons such as the M4A4 Asimov and the M4A1S Guardian. And while it seems like a lot at once, there were two definite standouts in the new class of skins. The first, of course, being the AK-47 Case Hardened. The Case Hardened was a real stroke of genius by Valve, be it intentional or not. The gun featured pattern variants, meaning that no matter what paint seed you received, it would be different from every single other paint seed. Combine that with float values, which carry a value between 0 to 1, and you could pretty much guarantee that any AK Case Hardened you receive is truly one of one. It is yours. This is what kept players coming back, and this is what kept players opening cases, even after every single skin had been unboxed. Each skin that you opened was yours, and it was only yours. The second skin was the M4A4 Modern Hunter from the Militia Collection, a skin we don't hear about too much today. and to a degree you didn't hear much about it back then either. But Valve's float value system, which had the Modern Hunter at 0.06 to 0.80, made it extremely hard for you to receive the Modern Hunter in Factory New, as Factory New ranges from 0 to 0.07. Thus, Factory New commanded a very, very high price point, the highest in 2013 for a short stint of time. CSGO also hit its peak player count in the month of December at a roughly 96,300. CS2, in its typical down months of the year, has lost more players than that from month to month. Valve also expressed their belief that players would gravitate towards more real-life, natural camouflages like a Safari Mesh or a DD Pad skin, for example, but they couldn't have been more wrong. Behold, the first loadout in Counter-Strike history. One of the rarest and most sought-after knives in the game, Karambit Case Hardened Pattern 387, was actually unboxed just 1 month after the Arms Deal update. Since then, no other Factory New variants have ever been opened since. Offers of 2 million plus have been rejected in chase of one of CSGO's most iconic knife skins. The AK Case Hardened's most sought-after pattern, 661, or more commonly known as the Scar pattern, sold for $1 million in 2024. Back then, this loadout probably cost the amount that you would pay at a pizzeria nowadays. In 2013, the skins market was a novelty. People didn't know what they were getting into. People didn't trust what they were getting into. And as the market grew every single day, people started to work out what was actually inside of this market.
Skinswap is a CS2 and Rust trading site where you swap your old skins for new ones instantly. Use code MW9 for a free skin under $50 when you complete your first trade. If you're just looking to buy a skin, use the market page where you can buy skins straight from the Chinese market without the need for a Chinese ID or bank account. You can also sell your skins with no wait and cash out via PayPal, Venmo, or crypto. With the newly launched Vault system, daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways, Skinswap is by far the most rewarding CS2 trading site on the market. Thank you, Skinswap, for sponsoring this video.
Meanwhile, in 2014, Germany shocks Brazil on their home pitch, beating them 7-1 in the World Cup at Rio. The iPhone finally takes off in America, and the most popular app at the time is Flappy Bird. Flappy Bird, in a lot of ways, runs parallel to the CS market. The developer received a ton of hate for his creation and thus removed it from the App Store in early 2014. This unnecessary but voluntary scarcity created by the developer made phones with Flappy Bird installed on it worth a couple of hundreds of dollars, and people were actually buying them. Sound familiar? Valve expands the skins ecosystem with the addition of stickers in February 5th. Unlike the DreamHack 2013 souvenir stickers in which they were pre-applied, here, the players had the right to choose where their stickers went. Of course, workshop creators were encouraged to make their own stickers for later community sticker capsules. It doesn't seem important now, in 2014, but these stickers would come to command just as big of a price point, in a lot of cases more of a price point than some of their skin counterparts, And if you didn't think your gun was unique before, once you add the layer of 4 individual stickers that you, the player, gets to choose, now your skin is truly, without a doubt, one of one. The first case comes out a week later, on February 12th, 2014, the CSGO Weapon Case 3, which houses exclusively pistols, the only case of its kind. If you were bored of those skins, a week later, the Operation Phoenix comes out with extremely iconic skins within, the AWP Asimov and the AK-47 Redline. The AWP Asimov and its unique sci-fi design drew players to it incredibly quickly, and it became the premier skin of choice for AWPers within the pro scene like Kenny S. The AK Redline's clean, slick design attracted the sticker crafter crowd, and to this day, some of the most expensive crafts within the game are on AK Redlines. The prices of these skins were so stable and the guns were so popular that these were treated as currency back when CSGO trading was in its heyday. New stickers come out less than a month later in March. These stickers denote pro teams that are attending EMS Katowice 2014. These were the replacement in a sense to the esports cases, which housed weapon skins in order to support the pro scene. Now, with the addition of stickers, players are able to redeem capsules, open them, and place their favorite team logos on whatever gun they choose. In hindsight, these were CSGO's Bitcoin, with some of these stickers ranging up to over $70,000 at their peak prices. And while we received 5 knives with the original CSGO Weapon Case 1 in 2013, we received 2 new knives in 2014, the Huntsman case on May 1st, 2014 with the Huntsman case, and the Butterfly knife with Operation Breakout, which took place on July 1st, 2014. Both of these cases also housed plenty of iconic skins within them as well. The AK Vulcan being the clear-cut fan favorite as soon as it was released in May, the M4A1S Cyrex, and the M4A4 HAL. But the HAL was submitted to the workshop by 2 contributors, but later it was taken down from a DMCA from a DeviantArt artist. The artist had found his own work on the rifle and he was not receiving any revenue for it. Thus, the original HAL was removed, redesigned by Valve, and was given the unique moniker of Contraband, the only one of which that still is in the game, despite further copyright restrictions in the future. Other guns were removed too, like a USPS, a MAC-10, a CZ, dual Berettas, and a P90, but these were not direct offenders, they were just related to the offender, the M4 HAL. Since that day, in June 2014, not a single new HAL was created. The supply is locked and it can only decrease. Operation Breakout releases the Butterfly knife, an unpopular knife at the time, but has since become the unanimous fan favorite by Counter-Strike players all over the globe. Unlike Phoenix, it operated in the same footsteps as Operation Bravo. It released a few new skin collections to go along with the Operation missions. The one we're focusing on is the Cobblestone collection and the AWP Dragon Lore. Back then, it sold for nearly $300. Today, it goes for around $12,000 for that same wear rating. The Dragon Lore was unique, the Dragon Lore was beautiful, and the Dragon Lore was, more importantly, rare. It dropped in a very odd way and you needed the breakout case to get it in this first operation. It quickly became the most expensive weapon in Counter-Strike. Valve doesn't follow suit with their next operation, Operation Vanguard, with any new collections, but it does release the Operation Vanguard case to end out the year. And with all of these new content updates, we can definitely craft our 2014 loadout. The 2014 loadout contains an extinct skin and the most expensive skin for most of Counter-Strike's lifespan. People really started to take the CSGO economy seriously now, and little did people know it was only beginning. While fantasy sports apps like DraftKings and FanDuel are in the public eye for whether their practices quantify as gambling or not, over $2 billion in skins were going to be wagered in Counter-Strike over the year in bets on various esports matches. Nobody was regulating these matches. The mainstream legal battle was actually probably the smaller one, but Counter-Strike would only enjoy this luxury for a very short amount of time. The game is getting even more popular. Case openings are becoming one of the most popular forms of content on YouTube and Twitch alike, and Valve goes head first, capitalizing on this popularity. They waste no time. 1 week into 2015, we received the Chroma case and the brand new Chroma finishes on knives. If you thought skins were unique before, take one look at the Doppler finish on knives and you'll be even more shocked at how much further deeper it can go. On top of the already existing things that differentiate your gun and someone else's, your knife could be one of 7 different phases 1 through 4, and the 3 rarer ones, Ruby, Sapphire, or Black Pearl, the rarest of them all. The variance of your skin if you just gotten a Doppler alone made this case one of the most popular cases in the history of Counter-Strike. All of the old finishes like Fade, Crimson Web, and Slaughter, which used to command all of the price back in the day, were taken to the side by the Doppler, Marble Fade, and new Chroma finishes. They continued to capitalize on these new finishes with the Chroma 2 case coming out a few months later in April 2015. There were actually a few knives though that were also introduced in 2015, the first of which coming in May with the Falchion case and Operation Bloodhound. Operation Bloodhound, other than the case, which housed the new Falchion knife and iconic skins such as the AK Aquamarine Revenge and AWP Hyper Beast, they gave us brand new maps, free for everyone this time, unlike previous operations, Log, Rails, Resort, Zoo, Season, and Agency, but they also gave us 3 iconic skin collections to go along with the Operation drops. These were Gods and Monsters, Rising Sun, and Chop Shop. Skins like the AK Hydroponic, the M4 Hot Rod, and the AWP Medusa all originate from Operation Bloodhound. This operation also introduced profile ranks and experience. The first time you rank up each week, you receive a weapon drop, sort of similar to what we see today in CS2. Now, everyone who played during this time has a story of how much they were selling these skins for back then, because they didn't command as much of a price as they do now, and they're much more rare than they were back then. There was no speculation back then, it was just purely trading for the aesthetic value of the skin underneath it. By August, Bloodhound reaches a peak player count of 800,000 concurrent players. Liquidity was enormous, skins were booming, content creation was growing in the space, and CSGO was looking to be not only one of the most successful games in the industry, but one of the most successful economies in the world. But with increased player counts, regulation starts to become a little bit harder, and thus the rise of gambling and skin gambling sites started to take over. According to Bloomberg, upwards of $2.3 billion in skins were wagered on esports matches in the year 2015 alone. Third-party sites, which had trading features but also encouraged the use of betting on esports matches such as CSGO Lounge, quickly became very, very popular ways in which to use your skins. After all, you could deposit, bet, and cash out in mere minutes. No KYC required, no identity verification. Skins were essentially functioning as currency. This not only pushed the skin prices to brand new heights never seen before, but also a true cultural zeitgeist, a true obsession with skins, and that could be seen in the loadout here. It seemed unregulated at the time, but little did we know Valve was about to respond in a very big way. Thank you all for tuning in to part 1 of the evolution of the Counter-Strike loadout, in which we looked at 2013 through 2015. Stay tuned in the next few days for the rest of the years, all the way up into the present day, 2026. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.